you're watching Friday edition of News Mongolia. Today is April 29th. For our top stories, Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi to visit Mongolia between April 30th and May 2nd. Historians and tourism industry experts are advising to restore the ruins of Prince Tsogt Khuntaij's palace. Mongolian entrepreneurs to join forces and enter the international market with a single export window policy. For other news, stay tuned. On the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and Japan, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, Yoshimasa Hayashi, will pay an official visit to Mongolia at the invitation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, Prince Tsogt, between April 30th and May 2nd.
During his visit, the Japanese foreign minister will pay courtesy calls on the President of Mongolia, Khursukhna, and Prime Minister Oyurten Lofsnamsra, and hold official talks with Foreign Minister Batsig Batmuch. During the meeting between the foreign ministries, both sides are expected to discuss in detail ways to strengthen the Mongolia-Japan strategic partnership, maintain the frequency of high-level talks, and expand bilateral cooperation in all fields. They will also review the implementation of the medium-term program to strengthen the strategic partnership between Mongolia and Japan for the period of 2017 through 2021 and exchange views on cooperation in overcoming adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, increase trade and investment, and intensifying the implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement. The Foreign Minister of Japan, Yoshimasa Hayashi, is planning to first visit Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan starting in late April. Tokyo also plans to host a meeting of foreign ministers from 5 countries in the region, also involving Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan, by the end of June to discuss measures to enhance their economic relations, the source indicated.
Managers of thousands of Mongolian leading companies gathered and shared their experiences in dealing with challenges and obstacles in the business environment. In the future, entrepreneurs agreed to work together instead of just competing in local markets. The forum participants also noted that it is time to enter international markets and compete with companies from other countries. In the last 30 years, during the transition to a free market economy, Mongolian companies have been mostly competing locally with each other, and the policy of expanding to markets abroad has weakened. Basically, Mongolia, as a country that has no export income other than raw materials and mining products, needs to further support its producers and develop its businesses as a big integrated cluster. Economists suggest that Mongolian businesses need to unite and enter world markets through a single export window policy.
The competitiveness of our domestic companies is quite weak when it comes to international markets. Because the decisions of our government are constantly changing, companies are also slow to adopt international management practices in Mongolia. Therefore, I would like to call on all Mongolian business to invest millions of MNT into the domestic stock market. Companies need to stop competing with each other, and we need to develop our stock market together. And it's time to share your good management experiences with other market players and compete with international companies. Especially, I think it's time to enter the world markets and, for example, compete with Chinese and/or American companies.
For Mongolians, the stock market, which can only be imagined as some blue-pink securities of 90s, is already 30 years old, but it is worth only about 5.2 trillion Mongolian tugruks. The active engagement of entrepreneurs is important in the development of the stock exchange, which is the biggest driving force of the financial sector. Becoming a public company and issuing IPOs has many advantages, such as improved governance and business expansion.
It is difficult for businesses to get a bank loan with an interest rate of 20 to 30%. Observing this situation, it is possible to create closed and open funds on the stock market. Also, some organizations may create IPOs. Short-term capitalization needs to be done on the stock market. There are many opportunities in the stock market that can compete with the bank loans.
Due to the pandemic and geopolitical issues, companies are not able to adopt long-term business plans for more than 1 year or even half a year, and they are operating in such uncertain conditions. Due to uncertainties, investment trends and consumer preferences have completely changed. Therefore, the participants of the forum say that it's necessary to consider each new step and then take the next step.
бүгд нийлж байгаа.
Entrepreneurs should come together and define their strategy. The most important thing is to study the market and customer behavior well and to experiment. And entrepreneurs need to change their business strategy. If you still maintain the previous old approach, businesses will incur huge losses. This is because consumer behavior and social environment are constantly changing. As a result, it is difficult for entrepreneurs to make decisions. It is necessary to constantly take some steps, not to stand alone and just observe the situation.
Leaders in the business sector shared their skills and experiences, looked at each other through the eyes of a partner, not a competitor, and started collaborating. The forum also provided an opportunity for businesses to unite their voices. Bolkham province is located in the western part of Mongolia in the mountainous area. Its location is considered as a place that can attract many domestic and foreign visitors. Therefore, historians and tourism industry experts are advising that we need to restore the ruins of Prince Tsogt Khuntaij's palace that is located close to the Ulaanbaatar city.
Now several music groups and singers, including the world-renowned Daehu Band, have created songs about Prince Tsogt. This is some kind of promotion of Mongolian culture, so I have this dream of why can't we establish a little amphitheater at the ruins of the palace, very much like you see in Italy. Prince Tsogt is a renowned historical figure who played an important role in the history of Mongolia. We all know that he was a one-of-kind poet and philosopher.
Prince Tsogt was a noble in northern Halych. He established a base on the Tol River known as an intellectual. He embraced the Karma sect and built monasteries and castles. In 1601, he built the White Castle or the White House of Tsogt Khuntaij. He submitted himself to Ligten Han, the last Grand Han of the Mongols. He took part in Ligten's campaign to Tibet to help the Karma sect even though Ligten Han died in 1634 before they actually joined together. Historians say that the life and journey of this great historical figure entitled as the Han, King without the seal, or de facto king, should be thoroughly studied and passed down to future generations.
The ruins are located on the remains of an old historical town of the Mongolian Empire and Xiongnu era. This is the most important aspect of the Prince Tsogt Palace ruins.
The old ruins of the ancient towns are mostly located in Bolkham and Ur-Khangal provinces. Historians say that studying the old ruins will not only contribute to history, but also to the development of the tourism sector in Mongolia. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here comes the weather forecast for the world's major cities. This is it for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next time with more news updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.